So the seed is your imagination. That intelligence goes way beyond any higher intellect, even beyond Einstein's mind. And Einstein knew this.
That's source.
It is. And so our imagination is source, but then we want to experience it through the physical world in which we could see through all our five senses, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a variance of within the five senses, a certain frequency hearing. We can hear between certain frequencies in humans, color, taste, all these things. But in order to actually change it up, we have to step out of that three-dimensional, one-of-time world and go in deep and close our eyes. So like Mike mentioned earlier about a good suggestive time to do this is right before you go to bed. It only takes a couple minutes because right when you're going to bed, whether you understand this or not, right as you're falling asleep, you're like, oh, fuck, I hope I don't run into someone at work today. You're in that theta state.
This is your most close contact with your subconscious.
So you're creating
program.
the movie for tomorrow as you're falling asleep.
Exactly.
But you're doing it unconsciously. Now, if you're conscious about it, you wouldn't say that. You would say, as you get into that theta state, a couple of breaths in, whether you use meditation music, it's a form of meditation. And you get into that really subdued place where you're consciously aware that you're alive, you're here. But now you start telling yourself, and there are really good guided meditation. So you can speak to yourself, tell yourself the story, or you can listen to someone that's placing what we call positive affirmations, and it works just the same. But the thing is, if someone's saying it like, you're a fabulous person, you're a wonderful person, and you're like, yeah, I don't really buy into that shit. That's where it doesn't work.
That's why the feeling is what Frank and I are talking about.
It's not the words, it's not the affirmations, how you feel about the words, how you feel about the affirmations, what we're talking about. Because I could say I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, but if I don't feel I'm wealthy, I could say it all day long. I might as well speaking a foreign language to my own subconscious. The subconscious doesn't know what the word wealthy means. It knows what I feel. And if I want to be wealthy, I must feel wealthy. And what does that mean? Well, feeling wealthy doesn't have a numbered value onto it. Because Bill Gates probably felt wealthy when he was 20. But when he was, 40, his cumulative wealth, like you count it, was a lot more. But he wasn't not wealthy when he was 20. That's just absurd, He was pretty much born wealthy, compared to most people in the world. His dad was a lawyer and his mom was a socialite, so we grew up very well. But how we expand it beyond that, this is what we're talking about. So when you get used to feeling wealth, and I don't care who you are, because even a person living on the street and not know they're starving and not knowing where the next meal's coming in, someone drives up and hands them a sandwich. In that moment, they flipped it and felt wealthy. Now, as they're eating the sandwich and coming close to the end of it, they might go back, but when's the next one coming? And they remain in this loop, but they're still being fed. They're still being fed. Notice anyone living, and I'm just bringing this as an exercise to notice, you're driving around, you constantly see the same homeless people. Guess what? They're living the same 24 hours you are. They're breathing the same oxygen. They're just as alive as you are. They're just living a different story. And I'm not even here to say their story is a horror story. They might be looking at me and like, look at that guy in that trapped piece of metal driving down the street, back and forth, back. I see him every day, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now, he doesn't know how I feel. I don't know how we feel, so I'm not even going to go there, But yet, we think that we're better off than they are. And I'm like, but if you're really conscious, you wouldn't even think that at all. Because you're now using that person on the street to make yourself feel better, and that's not a good boost at all. If you have to diminish another human being to feel good, it's a false. It's like building a house on sand.
This
is
the ego,
crumble.
guys.
Yeah,
this is the ego.
It isn't. I don't know what that person's feeling or thinking. I don't know why they're there.
And I'm glad you bring that up because we don't often dive deep into the ego, but
let's do it.
Yeah, the ego is something everyone possesses, and that's the person. When you find yourself becoming upset or angry, yeah, it's this person.
It's a recording system,
Yeah, and it's the ego keeps you comfortable. The ego keeps you protected. It keeps you. Well, of course, I'm just trying.
It can make you very uncomfortable as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just this. The ego is the self-identity the set of stories that we create and carry with us throughout our day, and we say, this is who we are. This is who I am. And let me tell you, and you start to list off these stories from years ago that are actually probably yesterday. Not that correct or accurate, based on studies that have been done that show, more than, what is it? So our memories, roughly 50%, half, is actually true. So all these memories that you've carried and you've got stored, good and bad, they're about half true based on, whatever studies have been done on this.
Well, what happened, because when you revisit something, you're already at a different vantage point. So
it's just so funny to, that's what we call ourselves. Is a group of stories that we have collected over the years, and we're like, this is who I am. I was born in this family, from this culture, from this area, and we define ourselves by these little stories of this is why I'm this way. Is because I was born like this. My father walked out on me, so this is the way I'm like this. They're all stories. None of this is actually who you are.
Yeah, and if my story doesn't match up with your story, we have a problem.
Oh, we can't be friends.
No.
That's it.
Yeah.
We're too different.
Yeah.
You're a Republican. I'm a Democrat. I can't be your friend.
Well, that's true.
But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that, we create,
it's nutty, yeah.
Oh my goodness! What you are, you're a Republican. Well, you're also a mother. You're also a sister.
Yeah, but
you're also.
But what the thing is hold on.
I'll go through your alter egos, guys.
But what is a Republican?
That's it. There's nothing. It's a set of stories.
Well,
I believe this.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what I believe.
Like most people that are Republican and Democrat can't even define where the word actually came from. When I look at them, even like I talked about the other day, I was talking to someone about conservatism, liberalism, and isms, right? And they're like, well, yeah, like which one are you? I'm like, I'm both. And they looked at me like, what? And I've mentioned this before on this podcast. I'm like, the word liberal comes from the word liberate, to liberate. Every human being on the planet, even Elon Musk wants to liberate from where he was. He actually wants to liberate from the earth and liberate into Mars. A millionaire wants to liberate to a billionaire. Nothing wrong with that. It's the natural course of expansion. We all came here to expand. In order to expand, it's called liberate. But if you don't understand the conservation of laws, which is where the word conservative enters in, you can't liberate. I need conservative principles and laws that have always been here to liberate out of the place in which I'm in. I constantly want to do it. So if you're trying to, it's like trying to drive a car without wheels, and somehow you divided the chassis from the wheels. And it's like, well, you got to choose one. I'm like, well, it's not a useful item if I have to choose one or the other. But conservatism and principles are two sides of polarities. But those polarities support each other. That's what they do. They're not in opposition. They're on opposite sides. Just like my friend is on the opposite side of the seesaw, but this is what makes the ride happen. If we were both sitting on the same side, there's nothing going on.
It's more so because we identify with that. So we say, because we think these stories are us. They become your ego, your identity. And so we attach to it and we go, wait, you don't have my conservative beliefs? You are separate from me. We don't see eye to eye. That's an issue. That's a problem. See how limiting of an idea that is? That doesn't feel good.
Again, because what the ego does, it records everything you do throughout your life. Because I'm watching a movie, and I imagine there are people like this. It was a TV show. It was kind of corny and cheesy. I forgot the name of it. But there was this woman who used to be an ex-detective. And she had these memory, visual, heightened sense. So, in other words, if a crime was created, she can walk through it. And if she was involved at the time, she could walk through something and then take herself back to it. And she can know how many forks were on the counter where she wasn't focused on. When people walk into a restaurant, the first thing they're probably focused on what table they're sitting at. Mm-hmm. But our subconscious is recording everything for how many human beings on there, even the colors of their eyes. But if we don't need that information right away, we don't pull it to the forefront. So we're literally walking around with a camera crew and an audio crew recording everything. That's what our subconscious is. But all we do is we try to rerun the videotape and compare it to the moment in which we're working, and that never happened yet. And this is where we get in trouble. I am heading into the unknown. I don't need my recording. I don't need to watch another movie before I'm watching the new movie. I just watch the movie. Heading into the unknown. And guess what? There are variants of things you're going to understand, because when you're conscious, you see the whereabout. So I understand what red is. I don't need to relearn that. My subconscious already knows that. So that has a purpose. It's not like get rid of the subconscious. But I don't try to create the world through my subconscious and another subconscious. That is the redundancy of life, and that's the Groundhog's Day, and that's the problem we run into. So we then fight for it. And then what we do is we pick something out there to fight for. And it's so much easier to fight with a human being than a table. The table ain't going to fight back. I try breaking it. It breaks now. I got to clean the goddamn thing up. When I break a table, it doesn't have the audacity to clean itself up. I have to clean it up. So I'm not going to break the table. I'm going to go after another human being and try to chew them down. And I realized, why am I doing this? This isn't... If I actually go into a human being and actually add them into my category of friends, I own the earth. Because if I was friends with everyone and I wanted to build a business, I have clients. I have people loaning me money.
I think it's good to touch on that when we find ourselves experiencing something that we don't like in someone, or something that we're not enjoying and it's rubbing us the wrong way, begin to look at that moment as a teaching moment, as what am I seeing about myself in this person? I promise you, every single time, that's what this is showing you. Yeah. And when you can begin to love even the person that you're upset with and hate, or thought you could never be around and can't stand, it changes the whole dynamic, and you begin to see it. Oh my gosh, everything I'm interacting with that pushes against me is trying to show me the resistance within myself. An area where I don't feel worthy, I'm ashamed, I feel guilt, whatever that may be. I just hate this about myself. These moments are there for us to learn about ourselves in life. They're not there to just piss us off. And anytime you feel a sensation that is that annoyance or disgust or whatever, it does not feel good, that's your body telling you something. And it's saying, hey, I'm not supposed to feel this way. That's why it doesn't feel good to get in a heated argument, or why our heart rate, jumps when we start yelling and screaming. We're not meant to do that. Our most natural state is to be relaxed, to be calm. And so as you run into these experiences and you begin to learn from them and go within and say, what am I seeing in myself in this person? Everything changes, and it becomes much easier, and you're no longer upset, and it's from a softer standpoint. This is also how you lay the groundwork to see what you want to see in others. Let's take an easy example, like your family, okay? Everybody has like the mom, the dad, the brother, the sister, somebody that, they just don't get you, right? Or you wish they were a certain way, or you wish that they would see you this way. In reality, you haven't seen yourself in that way, or you are still looking for that within yourself, and so you're searching for it through them, a certain experience. So begin to lay the groundwork differently. Begin to say to myself, begin to see yourself in the position of whatever it may be, them being proud of you, them sticking up for you, them being happy with you, excited to see you when you come over. Picture that and what that would feel like, and rest in that and watch it come into fruition, because it will. You're looking at the situation saying, I wish they would be different. I just wish they would see me like this. And you're staying stuck in that program, and that's why you keep experiencing that when you see them. So let go and say, oh, this picture, this is how I want to see that situation. This is how that situation would feel. and hold on to that. And if you feel yourself go back to tugging or, to stressing yourself out or, picturing it in a negative way, I wish it'd be that, you let go and do it again and say, I picture it as if it's how you want it to be and what that would feel like, and hold on to that. And I promise you, with every bone in my body, it will come into fruition.